very warmly welcome the audience. We will talk about the management of digital university today, and today's subject is the subject of the learning management systems and e-learning. Very hot subject connected to digital transformation of universities, but also to the pandemic, which was the catalyzer of this change. And our today guest is Juan Alegret, head of the Blackboard company for Europe. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Łukasz.
Making the small introduction, I checked the survey of Times Higher Education conducted in 2021, and it is the common opinion in the survey that the transition to fully online degrees is coming on, but actually in the question that if we eradicate the physical lectures by 2030, 87% of respondents disagree. So it looks like we are in the mode of the hybrid education, that it's a kind of the joint education online and in contact. And to find a proper way by the universities, there is a need to connect the social resolution, educational resolution with a technical one. And Blackboard is one of the leading world companies that is making specialization in online teaching. And actually my first question is about the e-learning itself. Blended learning, hybrid learning, e-learning, these are similar terms but not the same. And my question for the specialist is what is the difference and how the pandemic changed the image of the e-learning, learning management systems globally?
Okay, so it's a good question, okay, and I believe there is, yes, in the market sometimes some confusion about these different terms, okay, so e-learning, blended learning or hybrid learning, okay. By e-learning we understand it's any mean of solution that helps to have the education based on technology, okay, so that will be the main definition maybe for e-learning. For blended learning, and that will be any approach that combines the face-to-face. We can have a face-to-face lecture, okay, the typical lecture, combined with online activities like, for example, students working on a subject using an online tool, or doing some exercises online, submitting part of their projects online. Okay, so it's a combination between the online and the face-to-face. And hybrid, which really it's like the new term, and it's the new term that it's widely used right now. It's really when we combine at the same moment the online and the face-to-face. That will be a lecture that a professor can be doing in campus, but at the same time that he's doing this lecture in the campus face-to-face with several students, there are other students that are online connected. That's at least the way I define the hybrid education. So during the pandemic, all the institutions need to quickly move to full online, okay, because the campus were closed. What it has happened mainly is that the big majority of them moved to virtual classes using video conferences, and replacing 1 hour of face-to-face lectures by 1 hour of virtual classes, or many times not even virtual classes, it's been a video conference, okay? With the decline a little bit of the pandemic and going back to this old normality, many universities and higher education institutions moved or are in between the two modes, okay? So they are having hybrid classes, okay? So with students attending the class, and then, but as well some others which are online. And that's the most challenging. So moving to teach or to give a lecture on a face-to-face, it's different when you do it online, but it's even more difficult when you are combining at the same time and in the same moment having students on a face-to-face and having at the same time some other students which are online, okay? But that will be the three, okay? E-learning, it's any type of technology that helps to do the teaching and learning. Blended learning is when we combine the online, which doesn't need to be synchronous, it can be as well asynchronous, with the face-to-face, but on different moments. And then hybrid is when we have the two together at the same time.
Thank you, and I think that during pandemic, the vast majority of the university learned a lesson how to make the synchronic e-learning, let's say, with the use of the different common educational platforms that has been just adopted from business to education. But learning management systems is something more developed, something bit different that has the kind of the value added. I personally perceived it also as a tool for the evidence-based management on the basis of the data about the education, but also quality assurance tool. Having the developed blended learning system on a mass scale, not as a unique type of the education or a kind of the narrow group of the universities that doing that, but having it's as a vast majority of the universities, accreditation agencies, but the universities itself, they will also need a quality assurance tools for blended learning, for e-learning, and there is in some way the question about what kind of the value added can be given by such kind of the resolutions as the Blackboard, comparing to the existing resolutions on the market widely known as like Zoom or Teams, for example.
Okay, so again, that's a very, I will say, topic which is really on top of many of the minds today. So with the virtual classes, what we had, it's normally a lecture, okay, that it's given online. And in many cases, universities have been using standard video conferences tools, okay, like even Skype in one moment, or Zoom, or Microsoft Teams, or others that are in the market, okay. The only thing, which is already a lot, so it helped to quickly move from a face-to-face to an online, but we were replacing this 1 hour of lecture, let's say, by 1 hour of a video conference. And that's the only thing, okay? So there are, normally these tools are not capturing the different evidence of the students. They are not properly prepared, for example, to create breakout groups where maybe the teacher can give assignments to different groups, and then they need to do discussions and then get back together to the main classroom and sharing their thoughts of what they've been able to get, okay? So this is one thing. The real learning management systems or the virtual learning environments goes beyond that, okay? One of the pieces needs to be these virtual classrooms, but the learning management system, as we know, for example, as Blackboard Learn Ultra does, what it does mainly is to digitize the whole teaching and learning process, despite of being face-to-face or being online, synchronous or asynchronous, okay? So what we try is to digitize the process, and as we digitize the process, we start getting what you were mentioning, this evidence, okay? So a student has submitted some work, or a student has joined a virtual classroom, but we know at what time he joined, at what time he left, and then if there's been some quizzes during this virtual classroom, we also get the information. And all this information then is nurturing all the data layer that we have from the learning management system. And it's not only when we do a virtual classroom, but as well, so the professor can request some, so to do some quizzes, or to review or some videos, or to read some papers, or to engage in some forums. And for all these activities that then the students get engaged, we get evidence. For example, with the forums, one of the things that we do is we provide them back to the professor all the information related to the engagement of the students during a forum, okay? That it's a discussion that the professor has proposed to his classroom. So we not only get the environment for this forum to take place, but also we give the professor, so who interacted with who, so how many interactions that the different students were having, how many words they've been using. But that will be very simple. We also add an extra layer, and we provide its information based on the critical thinking that it's behind the different discussions or information that the students are using in this forum. It's not the same that a student maybe it's very well connected and is discussing with many other students, but maybe saying, yes, I agree with what you say, or yes, you are right, or I don't agree with that. That's completely different to saying, okay, no, yes, I understand that artificial intelligence is a new topic, that it's based on the use of technology and etc. Okay, so we are also looking into this evidence and this, for example, critical thinking. All this information that we get from all the different pieces of interaction between professors, students, and the students, that's what we collect, and that's what brings back this very valuable information, not only to the professors, as well to the students, and then as well for the administration from the university. Because it's only by getting evidence that we are going to be able to take decisions to improve the course, to improve the materials related to the course, to improve the interaction between teacher and student, to improve the exams, to improve etc. Okay, so that's the only way, and that's what e-learning or a virtual learning environment needs to do. It's really it's digitize the process despite being face-to-face or online, getting all this evidence and helping them with this data to take decisions.
Thank you. It's very important, because actually one of the crucial troubles with existing e-learning systems is the verification of the learning outcomes. How to do properly the exams, how to make it well checked, and the assessment combined in such a way that it will be honest and promoting transparency. It's the big challenge. We are observing the students that are, let's say, cooperating in individual exams, and this is not a very good resolution. So combining the data about the individual students' activity can provide a very, very valuable information about its activities. Maybe knowing that Blackboard has the large experience as a global leader in LMS, could you provide us the examples of the strategy and the use of your system in the leading universities? And let's treat it like an open question, because maybe this is the way for the digital transformation for some of the Polish universities.
Okay, so yes, during the pandemic, maybe one of the areas that has been more challenging for universities has been the exams. Okay, so that's when you are evaluating. Okay, so how well or bad a student has performed during the course, if he really understood the topics that he needed to understand. So normally we've been having exams which were face-to-face, so we were able to acknowledge the identity of the person. He was doing the exam, and then it was corrected, and he was ranked based on his responses. During the pandemic, many of these assessments needed to be conducted online, and that was a challenge. Because first you need to check that the person that is responding is the person that is really the one that should be responding, that he's not going to cheat by accessing other sites or by getting support by some other people. And there are different solutions and technologies that can help to provide this level of certainty. So we have like the proctoring solutions that connect to the learning management system. So then, but those have not been widely used in Europe, because there are still some uncertainty on the data protection and some challenges about data protection and about that. But no, that's one way of doing it, okay? On top of the learning management system and the assessment or the exam or the assessment platform I have, I can add a proctoring solution, and that will be more or less enough. But maybe what we need to do, or what universities need to do, is to rethink the way they assess their students. Maybe by throughout the whole period or the semester, by getting engagements, much shorter engagements, or rethink the way they are doing the exams, okay? And because I cannot just put an exam that it will be done on a face-to-face to put it online, because then yes, then you create like many opportunities for cheating. But you can build an exam thinking that it's going to be taken online, and then that will be much more secure. But there are techniques that to do that, okay, with our platform and with other platforms. But the one thing is that if I'm already using a platform and I'm already collecting evidence from different tasks that the student is doing, I will be able also to compare, okay, so it's the results from the exam with all the other evidence, and then maybe if there is not a correlation, I can get like an alert and maybe double check what a student is getting, okay? But the technology is here, and it gives us, I would say, the almost all of the tools that are needed to be able to really certify that the person that is doing something is the person that is doing that, and to have like the same level of confidence as we have on all the tradition face-to-face exams.
Thank you. And then my last question is actually of some cultural, social influencers of the blended learning process. I mean, this is a multi-stakeholder challenge. Yeah, we have academic teachers, we have students, administration, top management of the universities. What are the different challenges? What is the future of the blended learning if we are going by these challenges? Could you assess the perspective?
Okay, I understand that the level of adoption of these technologies is growing. Okay, so it grew very fast during the pandemic. Some of the universities are doing some steps backwards, but the trend is going to progress. But you also were mentioning at the beginning, based on this research from
Times Higher
Education, that the big majority of the students still want to have a face-to-face interaction. Okay, so they would like to have more online activities, but not to get to a 100%. Okay, and I believe that the world is going to be this in the middle. Okay, so the number of activities that can be done online is going to increase, but there is a big value still in many of the face-to-face interactions with lectures, but as well with labs, with other type of engagements. Okay, so we are going to combine the two, and that's where we are going, and we are going to have more and more. Okay, well, I don't know it will be to a 50-50, 60-40. It will depend on the type of university, of studies, countries, but we are going to have more. But it's true that there are also some challenges. Okay, so there is from technology challenges, adoption challenges. In some cases, it's we require to reinforce the professor capacity to use this type of tools, or to take all the advantages that these tools are bringing to him. Okay, so we need to have a development for these professors, which in some cases, sometimes I won't say that are the stoppers, but any adoption of new technology or any digital transformation, okay, so represents a change management, okay, and then we are always going to face maybe some obstacles in between. So one of the topics that we need to focus a lot is on the professional development of our faculty, or on the faculty, providing them the right development in how to take all the advantage from these new technologies and new platforms like Blackboard Learn. Okay, that's normally it's one of the stoppers. The other one, it's we need to deliver the right information to the right people, in this case also to the students, but not here we also, for us it's very important what we call it's the accessibility, okay? So not two people are equal, and the way that one student consumes and learns is different from another one. That's why we are moving more and more towards personalized learning, okay? So where different students are going to get different types of paths to learn, but then as well, when they are getting the information, they need to be able to consume this information in the best way adapted for themselves, okay? So if I am on the bus or on the tram, maybe and I'm reviewing part of a paper that the professor submitted, I'm not going maybe to read it using my mobile phone. Maybe it's better that I can consume this content using my headphones and with a text to voice conversion, okay? Or if I have, for example, I have as a student maybe dyslexia, I need to access maybe the information in another format, okay? So at the end we need to personalize the path for learning, but as well the way the students are going to consume, okay? And that has been until right now also one of the, I will say, the stoppers that we have, and that from Blackboard we've been investing in order to overcome this, to overcome that.
Okay, so to summarize, what is the probability that in 2030, let's say 100% of the business meeting and 100% of the education in the majority of the universities will be done in a virtual learning environment? I mean, holograms of the teachers and the holograms of the students, and just the virtual space that we are occupying. Technology is growing. We are learning the next steps in this digital transition process, but still we need social contacts. So what is your assessment? Is it probable that we will get to the stage that the very large number of the meeting, I mean almost 100% will be done virtually during, let's say, next 10 years, or is it a low probability?
There will be more, but we will not reach the 100%. That's my personal perception. Okay, so the technologies are still not here, and once they will be here, we need as well to do this adoption of the technologies. But even with the best of the technologies, there are things that the face-to-face, this lecture from a professor, the engagement in some of the labs, this contact, we cannot replace it today by technology. And it's true that there are big advances, and we are hearing lots of good news what is coming, but I still believe that in 2030, okay, which is just around the corner, okay, we will be on a more blended hybrid environment, maybe with a higher level of online, but not online purely on the synchronous part, okay, because maybe we talk a lot about the synchronous part, which is what is going to replace the lecture itself, or by a video conference or by holograms or whatever. But learning and teaching, there is much more than just this personal lecture, okay, or access to a virtual classroom. There is much more, and that's what we are still believe that the existing platforms developed and enhanced with more personalized learning and specific paths for every student, that's going to continue, and it's going to complement more and more these virtual classrooms that have been widely used during the pandemic.
Okay, thank you very much. So it was the optimistic perception that we are, our future is joining the let's say traditional social activities with a growing e-learning and learning management systems technology. I would like to thank you very much. Our today guest was Juan Alegret, Blackboard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Łukasz.